first time that I met Marc, and that was, I would say, probably something like 20 years ago. He was a young designer. He was actually just left Perry Ellis somehow, and he was starting to work for an Italian company named Iceberg. And I was a journalist for L'Uomo Vogue and Italian Vogue, and I was called to do an interview and to find out what was this new talent. So, Marc, how was your life before that famous grand show in 1992 that kind of got you fired, but also put you on fire, I would say? And how did you get involved in fashion?
Hello, everybody. Let's see. My life is pretty much the same as it's always been. I wake up in the morning and I'm pretty excited about what I have to do. Kind of scared, usually, but excited at the same time. And I was given the job at Perry Ellis at a very young age, and I went there every day, sort of feeling like I'll just do the best I can, And I was a little overwhelmed at first, and kind of, as I became more comfortable there, I wasn't afraid to just sort of do what my instincts told me was right. And it sort of culminated in that final collection, which was grunge, which really, even the collection before that, I was just doing, I had stopped trying to please or doing what I thought other people wanted from me. Because in the beginning I was second guessing and thinking, oh, is this what the people at Perry Ellis want? Is this what the licensees want? Is this? And then finally I just threw my hands up in the air and I said, I was given this job based on what people thought of me, and I have to trust my own instincts and do what I do. And once I did that, I was responding to what I felt was changing at that time, which was photography, the look of models. There was this kind of anti-glamour kind of movement, and something that felt very fresh and very new to me. The work of Corinne Day, Jürgen Teller, models like Kate Moss, Stella Tennant. They were all sort of coming about, and it was very fresh. And I also was, I've always been very interested in art, contemporary art and music, and pop culture. So I love this music, and I did this collection, which was true to me, and I think it really outraged some people, which I, to this day, still sort of, I don't know, I look back on it and I just think it was fine. It was no big deal. And I was just saying earlier before I came here, the irony is so many people dress like that. And I felt so many people dressed like that then. So again, it just, it was always just what I thought was right.
How different is the New York of those days from the New York today?
Well, everything
when
is
you
different.
come here, what did excite you? You have been here for few days or few weeks, and do you find art shows that are exciting? And do you go to clubs? Do you go to concerts, music?
Clubs, not so much. Music, I always love, and I really love music, and I do try to get to as many galleries as possible. Immediately the day I arrived, in fact, Lorenzo and I went to all these galleries and we saw some shows, and I'm very stimulated. Like I said, there's nothing that stimulates me more than something visual. In fact, my introduction to music, I wrote a essay once for this punk rock book, and I kind of had to, I'm not a writer at all, and I had to feel like, how could I write about this that I don't know anything about? And I realized that, again, my introduction to things is always coming from a visual place first. I was so enchanted by the look of what punk looked like that I went to hear the music, or, and that's how I learned about the Rolling Stones. Mick and Keith were so incredible looking that I had to listen to what they had to say. And so I'm just hungry for visuals. I'm an image-oriented person. That's what really turns me on.
And then you left and you moved to Paris. That was 10 years ago. Yes. And how different is your life there from the life you had here?
Well, it is very, very different. New York, I kind of came up with this little summary of if you have 5 minutes free in New York, you're a failure. And if you have 5 minutes free in Paris, you're a success. It's just a very different kind of thing. Even though I think myself, my team, we all work very, very hard. There's just a very different pace and a very different energy and a very different spirit. And going from where I live in Paris to the office, I just marvel at the beauty of Paris, and I kind of really enjoy everything, and it all seems to move in slow motion. Whereas in New York, it's just like rapid, fast edit, cut to dinner, cut to next party, cut to, being at the New York Times on Sunday, and then, whatever. It's just, really rapid fire.
Well, let's talk about the reasons why you went to Paris. That is, work for Louis Vuitton,
Yes.
and how Mr. Arnault and the group approached you in 1994, and then you went through, a lot of, I think, a long time before getting to a real contract. And how did you adjust to this LVMH corporate culture, to the suits, and when did that relationship, like with Louis Vuitton, kind of turn around? I mean, basically, when did you fall in love with the bags?
I was a nervous wreck about the whole thing, and at the time, the New Yorker did this profile. And I literally alienated myself from everyone in a suit at LVMH because I've always been very outspoken, and I don't know how to behave another way. Maybe it's the New York Jew, neurotic person that I am, but I just say what's on my mind. Maybe it's too many years of therapy, or I don't know. But so I would say things in this article like, I'm afraid, I don't really understand what Yves Carcel wants of me, and this Jean-Marc Loubier drives me nuts, and he's the head of communications, but I really don't like him.
Yeah.
So this all came out in this very extensive profile, and I mean, literally, every president of every brand turned their backs on us. And I just thought, oh, this is great. Like, first, I'm American. Nobody wants me here but Mr. Arnault. And then he takes me out to lunch and says, you're really going to have to fight to get things done here because, they don't want you. Yeah. And I was like, great. This is cool. So I don't know that I've ever really adjusted, but again, to demystify the whole experience, what changed things is when I embraced the thing that I think most people identified with Louis Vuitton, which was their famous monogram. And I said, I'm going to celebrate this. This is the only thing I've got to go with, because it's a company, it's not, they don't have an equestrian heritage. They don't have a designer who, created a look in the 20s. There was no archive. There was no nothing. So how do you, what are travel clothes today? People wear what they want to travel.
Trunks,
you know what I mean?
trunks.
And I don't think there's anything practical about traveling with a trunk. The most luxurious way to travel is with a toothbrush. That's it. It's like end of story. The people who really live luxurious lives don't need to pack. They've got stuff wherever they go. So I thought, well, this is not what Vuitton's about. What Vuitton is about is it's this branding. This is what makes it actual. What people love is being a member of this club that says, I have a Louis Vuitton bag, and the symbol of it is this iconic monogram. So as soon as I decided to embrace that, I had a much easier time. And what changed my life there with corporate LVMH was basically the opinion of one person. I only worked to please one person, and that's Mr. Arnault. He gave me the job, he wanted me there, and he believed I could do it. And when he's pleased, I'm pleased. And the only way he's pleased is when we sell a lot of product. So things really changed for me when we had our first commercial success. And then he was like, you know what? He's staying. That's it. They sold X millions of dollars of bags in 2 weeks. He's staying. Yeah. And live with it. And that's when my life changed.
What is your creative process? How do you start a collection, and how does it develop? I've seen, documentaries. We are a little familiar with like this kind of, you start with an idea and then you move into something else, and
Yeah, I'm not a linear thinker, and my attention span's pretty short. But what happens is usually, it can come from different places. We always start the season looking or talking about, we all do. It's a group of designers. There are people who work on handbags, people who specifically work on shoes, on textiles, etc. And we all just sort of bounce ideas off each other. And out of those meetings, a couple of things stick, and then we sort of develop a color palette. But again, nothing's ever etched in stone. And I'm a big believer in it ain't over until it's on the runway. So, a long dress can end up a short dress. And if red was the most important color to you at the beginning of the season, you still have 6 other colors in the palette, and red may not be important in the end. It may just be a punctuation at the end. So, a collection is a collection of thoughts and ideas. And for us, in the way we work with the atelier or the studio here, it's an evolutionary process. It's not like it's decided in a meeting and then we go about executing this one singular idea. But one thing, it's like a ping pong sort of match or something. An idea goes that way, then it comes back that way, and then one thing sort of spurns or spurs another thought, and that's the way it goes. And sometimes, me being here in New York and then arriving in Paris, I see something and I'm like, I love it. I love those rabbit ears. Let's do more of that. Or something silly.
You have some kind of childlike attitude, some kind of freshness. I mean, it's like you have this sense of wonder, as you said before, that you bring always to the job, to the product, actually.
I love doing it. I mean, again, with all the difficulties and the obstacles one has to deal with, it's still what I want to do. It's a joy, and it's not necessary. This is all a luxury. I mean, fashion isn't what people need. It's a joy. It's part of the art of living.